I don't know if you heard about this or not, but this is like science fiction come to life. And everyone's worried about AI taking over. But in reality, I think everyone's worried about the wrong thing to be concerned about as far as humanity maybe going in a bad direction. This is posted from the Vigilant Fox, and they said, guest blows Joe Rogan's mind when he reveals that China has already genetically modified children. Biotech founder Ben Lamm explains how Chinese scientists cloned embryos and then edited them to make babies immune to HIV. But it gets worse. Lamb said there's growing debate over whether those same babies were also genetically enhanced for increased intelligence. The science is still unclear, but he warned the intent is very real. He pointed out to the BGI, the Beijing Genomics Institute, a Chinese genetics company, that he claims used the COVID-19 pandemic as an opportunity to collect global DNA. According to Lamb, BGI offered free COVID testing to countries around the world, not just as humanitarian gesture, but as a way to gather genetic data on entire populations. He claimed BGI has openly stated its goal is to sequence as much of the global population as possible in search of genes linked to intelligence and act on what they find. They're openly saying we are sequencing as much as we can of the world population, looking for genes for intelligence. How old are these genetically modified kids now? Rogan asked. Are they already winning chess tournaments? So I've not watched this yet. So let's see what they have.
They actually were. It is getting weird. Like CRISPR.
Get the audio ready here. There we go.
China, Russia,
it is getting weird. Like CRISPR and these genome engineering tools are outside of the box. They're out. It's like
I got people saying this is old info. Okay, I'm sure it is old info, but this is the first that I'm hearing of it, so I'm curious about it.
Genie out of the bottle, right? It's like
Right.
it's out there.
This was already info in 2020, says Big Chungus.
You can't put it back in. I think that more and more people in other countries are going to be doing things with these technologies for humans. That's why Colossal just said we will never do anything for humans. If someone else wants to use our technologies for humans, we'll evaluate
but that gets so weird, right? Like the China story. Can you explain to people what they did? They said they were inoculating them from HIV, which is
they actually were
very
engineering.
suspect.
They were engineering babies in editing their embryos to confer a resistance to HIV.
Now that is like very concerning, because then it turns into from natural being born to humans now playing God and toying with reality. And that's like, what are we doing here? How far is too far? It's time to turn back. Like, what are we doing?
Now, still to this day, so they were cloning them, and then they were genetically modifying them. And so they're doing lots of things there's a general moratorium in the world on some of these things around humans. Anything that's considered a germline edit. So anything that could be passed on to the next generation, right? So if you engineer something into the genome, the fear is, from a germline. So all your cells in your body are somatic cells, except for your like egg or sperm. Those are germ cells. So anything that could be affected into the germline so that you pass it on to the next generation, that could be like,
I wasn't going to say it, but I'm like, it sure as hell sounds a lot like Umbrella with what's going on right now.
Umbrella Corporation type moment, right? So
Right.
we don't want that.
Well, the scary thing was they didn't just do that. They also edited something that would allow the child to have much higher intelligence.
Well, so that part's like that part's quoted under debate. There's people that say that happened. There's people that say it doesn't happen. If you look at BGI or Beijing Genomics Institute, right? They did this thing that from a nefarious perspective was brilliant. from a nefarious perspective is also terrifying. During COVID, they're like, we'll do all the COVID testing for you for free. We'll do all this COVID testing for you for free. No worries. Just send us your data. We'll do it all for free. You just want to help the world, right? We'll work with the World Health Organization. Just send us all your samples from all your countries, everything.
This is like really unfortunate because this is one, obviously proving all the tinfoil hat conspiracy theories correct once again. But more concerning is the more you live on this planet, the less you can trust anything from anywhere.
And publicly, the CEO of BGI has said, which is funded by the CCP, has said that they are looking at genes with humans. They are looking at what makes humans more intelligent. They don't shy away from this. This is not like some, conspiracy, like you're like, is it a Sasquatch or is it just a man in an ape suit? This is something that is very real. They are openly saying we are sequencing as much as we can.
I think the problem with trying to define intelligence is not like a metric of, oh, math really well, that makes you smart. Because some of the best book smarts people I've met in my life are some of the dumbest people when it comes to street smarts. So my concern is kind of twofold, but if China's looking for the intelligence gene, that might mean like we need to get better at school and learning and reading better. It's like that doesn't make you smarter. It lets you understand one aspect of reality. But when you leave the protected shell, it all falls apart.
Of the world population looking for genes for intelligence, and we will act on that. Like that's not a hidden thing. So that is the problem.
Supposedly did with these children. How old are these kids now?
I mean, that would have. When did that happen? It was, yeah. So they've been like 6 or 7.
Oh, and are they already winning chess championships?
Yeah. So
we should find out.
Yeah.
We should find out where these kids are probably in a lab somewhere with a headset on.
Yeah. I
teaching them how to be psychic.
Now, I'm curious, because you guys are saying that's not new information. I am curious to see how long ago that happened, because this says it's from April 7th, but people in the responses, wait a second here, saying this is terrifying, and they responded, if one country starts genetically modifying, every country will. I mean, it really is like a nuclear arms race for genetically modifying human beings. That's not a race that humanity should be in. It'll be like an arms race to create the smartest population on the planet. Needs to be banned. Full stop. I mean, banning sounds great, but you're not going to ban China from doing stuff. You could ban that and they say, okay, yeah, we won't do it anymore. Totally trust us, bro. In China, a soldier controls gravity. Yep. That's not common knowledge. No wonder people look like schizos sometimes. Well, we know the majority of the intelligent people didn't give up their DNA during COVID, so now China has a bunch of Democrat DNA. I don't have a problem with genetically modifying humans. If we can make people better, that's a net positive. Pretty sure Yao Ming was genetically modified to some capacity. Some could even argue so was LeBron James. Just saying. Growth hormones are a thing, guys. Just saying. But yeah, look at this guy. Blocked. Anything that involves Joe Rogan, I choose not to be a part of. I don't want to see or hear a fucking thing that dumb POS has to say. All right, bro. All right, cool. Like we care. We care about what you had to say. I agree, though. Bad beards should be banned. That guy had a very weird beard. But to give the other side of this, like, there is hope and potential to DNA modification and potentially finding a cure to cancer through that. I'm sure a lot of people that have lost a loved one to cancer would be on board with hey, if there was a way to have saved my loved one via genetically modifying their DNA and fixing it, where do I sign? So there are net positives to this, but it's concerning when it turns into, let's genetically modify embryos to make them grow taller so that they all compete in the NBA. It's a little bit concerning. Anyways, I'll leave that there. I just thought that was interesting.